BS Podcast. This is Straight Outta BS Podcast. We're live. I wanted to introduce a new segment at the beginning of every podcast. I'm going to have a moment of silence for the person that's still struggling with anything like repressed emotions, feelings, addiction, mental health, anything. So I want a moment of silence here. So we're going to do a moment of silence at the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you for that. I also want to let people know that on Anchor Radio, if you guys could run over there and subscribe, I'm 6 away from becoming monetized on the Anchor Radio platform, which will help with upgrades to the podcast, etc. So if you guys could quickly, if you guys could subscribe there, I'd really appreciate it. And as always, I really appreciate all the support that I get regardless. Also, the merch store is live now. There's a link for that, and there's a donate link or where to donate to in the description of this video as well. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce my guest for the day, Dan Wooge. Is it Wooge?
Dan Wooge.
Okay. Go ahead and introduce yourself and where you went, what years, all of that.
Okay, all right. So my name is Daniel Wujak, the full name. I was in Tranquility Bay and then CrossCreek, Manor. I was in Tranquility Bay from 1998 until 2001, and then CrossCreek from 2001 to 2002.
Okay. And did you get transported up to Tranquility Bay, or did your parents bring you up there? What was that situation like?
They took me to the airport, and then I was told to meet with somebody at the airport in Jamaica. So my parents dropped me off.
Your parents did?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. So they essentially brought you to the airport, and then you were picked up there, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Excuse me. Walk us through your first few days at Tranquility Bay. How long did it take for things to fully sink in? Did they give you a buddy when you first got there to go over the rules with you? Go over like the first few days.
I remember getting there. I remember that crappy bus ride there. Now, if anyone from Tranquility Bay remembers, there's actually 3 facilities. There's TB 1, 2, and 3. When I left, there was only 1 facility left. But when I got there, I was in TB 1. I remember coming in, and they had me put my stuff, all my clothes, all my property, everything I brought with me that they told me to bring with me, was put in a bin with my name on it and stuck in this little gazebo. Then they took me to a room upstairs and told me that this was going to be my buddy, or the person that shows you the ropes, shows you around, teaches you things. And I can't remember what his name was.
It's okay.
My life. He's a good dude though, man. I remember him I remember him. I don't remember his name. But without his help, man, that first little bit would have been freaking crappy, dude. I mean, it was shitty, but it would have been way worse not knowing. I didn't know anybody there. I didn't want to know anybody there at that point. I didn't know what the fuck was going on. It didn't look like what I was told it was going to look like. Because they change you out of your regular street clothes with some khakis and some flip-flops. And I was only 13, so I mean, it kind of fucked me up.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine, especially at 13. Wow, that might be one of the that might be one of the youngest ages I've heard on the podcast so far, if we're going into the program.
I was 13 when I went to Jamaica, and when I left CrossCreek, I was 17.
Wow. Wow. Long time. So how long did you end up staying there? Was it 3.5 years, 4?
I was there for 4 years.
Okay. In programs, you mean? In both, between both of the programs, correct?
Between both of the programs, I didn't have any space. Like some people went to one, went home and then went back. I never left my entire 4 years. It
Okay.
was just 2 years in Jamaica and 2 years pretty much in CrossCreek. But Tranquility Bay was probably the roughest times that I've ever had. I'd seen some shit there I've only ever seen in prison.
Yeah. Like what? Like what kind of stuff?
I can't remember this kid's name either, but he ended up stabbing another kid with a nail or a pen or something. I watched a kid named. Can I say names?
You can say names, man.
All right, so I don't know if anybody that I know remembers Colby Baird, but I remember the staff member. I can't remember which staff, but they pretty much tossed his ass down the stairs from where the school was down to the second floor. I remember that very specifically.
Just pushed him back.
I remember.
Like he was standing on the steps and they pushed him backwards?
They kind of grabbed him by the back of the shirt and pushed him just straight down the stairs.
Wow.
Oh yeah. I mean, I've had my fair share of ass whoopings there. Just because I was a bit of a belligerent asshole, and wouldn't take kindly to rules. I still don't do rules.
Yeah.
Probably why I did prison time. But yeah, no, it was a rough time there, man. I had anyone that knows me, anybody that has known me, would figure I wouldn't do well there.
What
I
was
never
what
passed.
was the hardest part for you? What do you think the hardest part of being in both those places were?
The pointless rules, I think, was my main problem. I can listen to people all day. I can follow rules and follow instructions perfectly well.
Yeah.
It's the fact that you're going to give me a consequence and hold me back for like crossing my legs or walking through a door or talking to somebody or making a comment. I mean, very, very pointless rules that didn't. I mean, of course I'm 13. Of course I'm going to talk back. Like, come on, honestly.
You just became a teen, essentially. I mean, teenagers do that. You know, that's natural.
I've talked to other people about it, and and I'm not saying anybody deserved ever to be placed in a program like that.
Yeah.
But the fact was, I had never done drugs. I had never been charged as a criminal. I had never done anything other than skip school.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't drink. I wasn't even sexually active at the time. I mean, like, everyone I talked to, every one of my parents' friends to this day said they told my parents not to do it. Everyone that I've talked to said that I was pretty much the epitome of any normal teen.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, like, of course I wanted to skip school. I was there was only 3 white kids at my entire school in Miami.
Yeah.
Of course I skipped. I had to fight for my fucking life every day.
Okay.
Like, not that I'm not racist. I love Miami. Miami will always be my home.
Yeah.
It was just the fact that I always got picked on.
Well, yeah.
It's
that does happen. It does happen.
Like, that was just the way it was. I grew up close to, if not in the projects. That was just a way of life. It wasn't, didn't really bother me, but that was normal for me. So, and then before I even went to the programs, actually, I had been sent to, I don't know if anyone would know of a place called Outward Bound.
I've heard of it.
I was in Outward Bound before that, and then
isn't that like a wilderness? Isn't that like wilderness for people?
It is, yes. Okay. Yeah. And then after that, I was sent to Miami Bridge, which is like a youth boarding place that if your parents don't want you or think that you're just a juvenile piece of shit, they send you there. So that's where I was. Actually, my parents came to pick me up at Miami Bridge before they sent me to Jamaica.
Okay.
Technically, the kids that were in Miami Bridge were either up for adoption or taken by CPS. I was put there by my parents.
Yeah. Did that? Nothing. Did it? I'm curious to know. How did that make you feel? Did it make you feel like they didn't want you, like, at all?
To be honest, right? So, as far as like feelings went, like I didn't really feel like, and I was just kind of there, like, okay, well, my parents think I'm a piece of shit, so they sent me here, so I'm just going to make the best of it that I can. I didn't try to run away. I didn't try to do stupid shit. I just did me. I did what I had to do. I watched the movies on the weekend and like went on their little field trips, and I mean, I live day to day. I still live day to day. I don't really, that's just how life is. I guess it just started young. Yeah. And I just did my own thing my whole life, like my bikes. I'm a biker. That's what I do. I freaking ride. I don't care what anybody says or does. I'm gonna do me. And I think it started young. Yeah.
So you don't really just pay too much mind to like what happened in the past. You kind of just live in the present and kind of just do you, right? Correct?
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I still remember this shit. Like
and it still affects. Sure.
I don't hold a grudge about it.
Yeah.
Not that I liked it. Yeah. I didn't. But what really can I do? And to this day, I still don't smoke weed. I still don't pop pills. I don't drink. I don't do anything. I smoke cigarettes. And I ride. Like.
Yeah. I was curious when you said like before you went to the program, you weren't really introduced into like hard drugs or anything, or drugs in general or anything like that, or crime. When you say that, like, did you get involved afterwards? And we'll get to that. Like,
all right. So after the program, I turned 18 pretty much a few months right after I got released.
Yeah.
Got released. I came home. And so I was living at my parents' house till the day I turned 18, right? It was my birthday. So I went out with a few friends I had just met. I came home at like 10:30 to all of my stuff on their front porch in garbage bags.
Wow. Okay.
They told me I was not welcome back in their house. That was when I got pissed.
Was that just for you hanging out with friends and not being at home, or do you know why that was?
See, they told me because I didn't follow my home plan and didn't I didn't follow my curfew and that I was being too loud in their house is what it was.
So they had a life contract, correct?
All right, so here's the crazy thing, right? So I'm going to have to go over this kind of piece by piece. So I was in the program for 4 years.
Yeah.
I made it to level 2 for about 2 days. Okay. My entire time in the program. So once I had turned 17, and they were like, hey, you know, this kid's been in here longer than anybody else we've ever seen.
Yeah.
And he's not going anywhere. He's not making levels. He's never held a level other than one.
Yeah.
They're like, we need to pick this kid out of the program somehow. So then I had already finished all the seminars in Jamaica.
Okay.
So I couldn't, even the entire time I went to Utah for 2 years, I had never went to any of the seminars. I had already passed. I had already done all the seminars. So they started sending me to the PC seminars.
Okay.
So I did all the PC 1, PC 2. I did, I don't even know what the other one was called. So I had done all the PC seminars. I'd done everything. And they were like, you know what? We're just going to send him. See, I was at such a point there that they sent me on the outings in Utah, on all the hikes to Zion and all the others. Like, they were like, listen, he might be level 1, but he's not going to run. He's not going to do anything dumb. He's just going to go out and have some fun and then come back. So they legit were like, you know what? He's not a harmful level 1. He's not one of those level 1s that is that you need to control, that you think he's going to do something dumb or get in trouble. They knew that I was not going to do any, you know what I mean? Like, I wasn't going to cause him any issues. He's been here too long. He's never caused a problem. He's never been in a fight. He's never, you know, tried to escape. He's never done anything crazy. They're like, you just send him on the higher level things because he's, I mean, maybe if he sees what he can get, he'll try to get the levels. Yeah. So I did. I went out to Zion. I hiked Angel's Landing. I did a bunch of events, a bunch of other stuff for them. Never caused a problem, never caused a scene. But the fact is, like, I can listen to rules. I can listen to what you're saying. I'm not going to run. I'm not doing anything dumb. The only reason I couldn't make levels is because I, first off, don't care what people think or say. Not my problem.
Hey, you cut out. Oh, there you go. There you go. You're back.
Is someone tried to call me? I don't even know the number. Yeah, so it's never been a problem for me to follow rules. It's just when you make rules that are useless, honestly. Like in day-to-day life, I don't see why I gotta follow something that, like, I may not even realize that I'm breaking that rule. Like, if I'm not realizing I'm breaking that rule, kind of useless, really, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
That was my main problem, was rules. Just rules. Yeah. That was it.
So they put you on a life contract then, huh? But you didn't graduate. Is that correct?
Yes. They sent me to, I did graduate, but I didn't graduate with on level. I graduated on level 1. Which
they pushed to graduate. They pushed you through.
They pushed me through, yeah. Which actually made a lot of people mad, man. A lot of people in the seminar when I graduated were like, "Oh, you don't deserve to be here," blah blah blah. And the worst part is they got mad at me because I told them flat out, I'm like, "Listen, I've been in that program 4 times as long as you. First off, second off, I didn't let them brainwash me.
Yeah.
Like, listen, I didn't come here because I wanted to be here. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be in the program, but I don't want to you know what I mean? I'm not going to follow your rules just because you make some dumbass assumption that I don't deserve to be here. You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is, though. Like, I'm here. Y'all are going to have to deal with it.
Yeah. Was there ever any time that you got close to just saying, like, you know, okay, I'll do what you say type thing? Was there ever a point where they pushed you to where you got close to maybe?
That's the worst part. All right, so the entire time I thought I was doing fine. Like, I was like, listen, I'm doing everything you guys say, and I legit was trying to work the program.
Yeah.
I was just bad at it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I mean,
Yeah.
it just, I honestly don't even know why I didn't make levels. I don't know why I couldn't. I don't know. It was always small, minute shit. Like, really.
Yeah. Do you have OCD or like perfectionism because of that? Like, do you suffer from any of that? Like, always like making for the other shoe to drop, any of that stuff?
I don't know. I've never been to a therapist. Actually, I've never talked to a doctor. Um, I don't even go see a doctor now. Like, if anything happens, I usually just go to the hospital. I kind of have a problem with anybody, really. The program kind of fucked me up to the point where I'm not a people person.
Yeah.
I'm not a people pleaser. I don't like people.
Yeah.
The other thing the program caused is I can't sleep. I don't sleep much. I'm not blaming the program per se,
Well,
but
yeah.
It's just something that, due to PTSD, not even related to the program, honestly, more due to prison than it is the program. But I would much rather be in prison than back in that school.
Yeah. For sure. Well, I first of all want to thank you then for, you know, being open enough to talk to me about your experiences. You know, like that kind of says a lot if you don't really talk to even doctors and you're willing to come on here and talk. You know?
The main reason I'll talk to podcasts or people mostly is because the people that I usually talk to have been there, have been there and done that, and been through maybe not the same thing, but similar experiences.
Yeah.
So I'm a little more comfortable talking about the experiences.
Yeah.
But at the same time, everybody that went to the schools, any school, it doesn't matter what it was, kind of has a bond, might I say.
Oh yeah.
Whether you graduated or not, I don't care. Whether you had a good experience or not, also not my fucking problem. But every person is different. Every person had a different experience. None of us had the exact same thing happen. A lot of us didn't go to the same schools, but we've all been through it one way or another. Whether you were there by chance, whether you're there because you did something dumb, also means nothing to me, because I mean, it is what it is. We all went through it. If you are who you are because of it, whether good or bad. I can see where it's caused people stress or anxiety or, medical conditions or, so on and so forth. Also due to the fact that everyone had their own experience. And I can say I can understand when people do blame the program for their problems, because it may not have caused me specific problems, but I've seen it to the point where it could have caused people some serious emotional damage.
Yeah.
But at the same time, each person, again, is different. So how one person handles that situation may not be how I handle that situation later in life.
Yeah.
What one person might become completely riddled with anxiety and PTSD or CPTSD may not be for me. But, I mean, like I said, each person's different. So, you know.
For sure. Well, let's, so you went to Tranquility Bay. Sorry, I'm kind of bouncing all over the place. I kind of just wanted to, the conversation just kind of went there. That's kind of how my interviews are. So you're in Tranquility Bay, and you said you went through all your seminars there. Did you go through the first time on all the seminars, or what?
Oh, man. So if I remember correctly, it was discovery, focus, accountability. Discovery, focus, accountability. I feel like I'm forgetting one.
Principles? Was it principles after focus? Was it focus, principles, and then accountability? Was it keys to accountability?
I do not know. I remember discovery. I think that took me like 3 times to finish.
Okay.
Focus, I only went to twice.
Okay.
And I think accountability took me a few times just because I was not taking responsibility for none of that shit. And they kept telling me I was lying about shit. And I'm like, why the fuck would I lie about shit?
Yeah.
Like, they're like, oh, you did drugs. And I'm like, but I didn't. Or like, they'd be like, oh, you used to drink. Be like, I was 12. Come on, man. Like, really? Like, yeah, maybe you, but not. I was raised in a, I don't know. They always thought I was lying about stuff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and honestly, half the shit that I would say in the freaking seminars was bullshit anyway, because they'd always tell me I was lying if I said I was fine. They'd be like, oh, well, you must have done something wrong. I'm like, sure. Yeah, like, I'd have to make shit up to make me sound worse than I was because they wouldn't believe that I wasn't.
Yeah.
So I was like, it was like completely reversing the process of actually trying to get work done in the seminars.
Yeah.
Because they wouldn't believe that I skipped school. Oh, that's horrible. Like, come on, man. Like, that's really all I fucking did at that point.
Yeah. Did you spend a lot of time in worksheets or solitary confinement? I don't know what they called it there. I think like observational placement or something.
Yeah, they called it OP. All right, so this is that part. All right. So in Jamaica, I spent more time in worksheet and OP than I did in CrossCreek. And I think I did more time on OP and worksheet in Jamaica than I did outside of it. And there are quite a few people that can corroborate what I'm saying, corroborate, whatever you want to pronounce it, that can verify the fact that me and Jamaica didn't get along. Now, in CrossCreek in Utah, I actually didn't do half bad. I didn't get onto observation placement. I don't know what they called it there because I never went on it. But I did spend a significant amount of time in doing worksheets. And they got so mad at me because they played the same tapes day in and day out and had the same answer sheet for everything, to the point where I memorized all the answers So I'd already be handing it in by the time they hit play on the tape, to the point where they're like, we need to get new tapes because this kid already knows, like, he's done with his worksheets before we've even played the tape, and he can hand them all in and just leave because I already knew what the answers. I was in so much, I knew the answers to all the worksheets, and they were like, this is ridiculous.
Wow.
Imagine if they had sent me to school. That'd have been great.
Did you feel like when you were in Jamaica that they hated Americans, the staff there? Did you get that feeling?
That's a good question. No, not really. Okay. I got the feeling that they thought we were a bit stuck up.
Okay.
But I never got the feeling that any of them hated us.
Okay.
But again, that's my perspective, and the fact that I was there a really long time doesn't help the fact that I created not bonds with these people, but I knew them longer than most people did.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they knew that, hey, he might be mouthing off, but he's not going to be a threat. You know what I mean? Yeah. Other kids they didn't know as long, they may have treated them a little differently.
Yeah.
The fact that it stayed open for a long time also doesn't help the fact that I don't know, I guarantee there was a change in staff. So I don't know, I can't speak for like the newer version of Tranquility Bay. Okay. I don't know. To me personally, no.
Okay. And I want to clarify for anybody, if this is maybe the first video that you're seeing, I am not in any way trying to say that Jamaicans hate Americans in general. The only reason I'm even asking that question is because I've heard from several other people that in their experience, they felt that they were hated and that maybe it was because they were Americans when they've been there in a couple of interviews I've done. So that's the only reason I'm asking the question, just to clarify so people don't jump down my throat. So
that also leads me to each person is different, but at the same time frame, I don't know when they were there. So,
and did you tell me what time period it was that you went there? I can't remember if you told me or not.
I was in Jamaica from 1998 until 2000, 2001 ish.
Okay. And then what about CrossCreek?
CrossCreek was 2001 to the end of 2002.
Okay. Did you witness anybody run from Jamaica or CrossCreek? And what did you hear about their policy for runners? Did they tell you?
All right. So while I was in Jamaica, a few people did run. I don't really recall what I remember. A few people ran. I remember them getting caught. I know for a fact one of the kids got to the U.S. Embassy. I do not know his name, and his parents took him out of the program when he got to the U.S. Embassy.
He got lucky.
He did. I don't know how he did it. I have no clue, no idea. I don't even know if I knew the kid, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
As small of a place that was, there was a lot of people I never saw or talked to or knew. But a few of the people that I went there with are on my Facebook. And I talk to them frequently. A lot of them are still good friends of mine. I mean, I would ride out to see them anytime if they needed me to. Now, as far as Utah, I don't remember anybody running from Utah that I knew of the entire time I was there.
Okay. Did you get a phone call to your parents at Tranquility Bay? I'm assuming you got them at CrossCreek, but did you get any phone calls at Tranquility Bay? And if so, how many days in?
Okay. I got 2 phone calls the entire 2 years I was there. One was from my parents to tell me that my grandmother had passed away. And the other one was to let me know that my uncle had passed away. And that was the only 2 times I ever got to talk to my parents on the phone.
Okay.
I was never sent home for their funerals. I was never offered to go home for the funerals. Yeah, no, so just the 2 times for about 5, maybe 10 minutes. I could be wrong about the amount of time too. I'm not positive, but it was very short and brief.
Okay.
And I remember the case manager, Miss Davis, sat there and watched the conversation, making sure I wouldn't try to hint as, that I wanted to come home.
Yeah. So what happened when? Well, first off, what was the craziest thing you saw at Tranquility Bay? And what was? Let's start there. What was the craziest thing you saw when you were there?
Craziest thing I saw.
Or heard about?
That's a good one. Oh my God. Okay. So the craziest thing I saw was this kid, Bobby. Kind of a thicker, solid dude. He had just got there. He'd only been there a few days. He got mad or something and punched one of the windows out in the cafeteria. But because it was slate glass, it shattered and fell down and cut his arm like a steak.
Yeah.
And he was gushing blood everywhere. And they threw him into JK's personal car and rushed him straight to the hospital, man.
And you saw this?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I saw that. There was blood every fucking where, man. Everywhere.
That's crazy.
That was pretty wild. Oh, another one, and I'll let him know to check out this video, and he'll verify it by himself. His name is Sean Flint. He was a twin. Him and his twin were both there. He ran into the barbed wire fence. Luckily, he wears glasses while we were playing soccer out in the front field. And the barbed wire would have taken his eye out had he not been wearing his glasses.
Oh my God.
Cut him. Oh yeah, man, I remember that. I had to pick up his glasses and give them to him. That was a pretty wild time. Other than the fact that every morning we'd go out there to the yard, to the front where the soccer field was, and I'd have to get a goat or two out of the fucking soccer nets. I got kicked in the nuts by a goat. That was ridiculous.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I've never been kicked by a goat before, and that sucked.
Yeah, I've heard it. I've heard it sucks. Was there anything else?
I mean, other than the fact that Colby got tossed down the stairs, and I saw a lot of kids get restrained. One kid stabbed the other kid with a pen, or it could have been a nail. I think it might have been a pen. Other than that, nothing really crazy though.
Okay. What happened to where they transferred you to CrossCreek? How did that whole thing come about? The whole transition. Did they just decide to send you there, or what was the deal?
They told me that Miss Davis had pulled me into her little office thing where the case managers were and said, hey, your parents are the program, and your parents think that this school is not working for you. And I was in my head, I'm like, yeah, no shit. Go figure. They said, so we're going to be sending you to CrossCreek. And I was like, all right, that's, that's fine. I think it may have also had something to do with the fact that I'm pretty sure my visa was going to expire. My passport visa, I'm pretty sure it was going to expire, and they had to get me out of Jamaica anyway.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it had something to do with that.
Okay.
And then going from there to Jamaica, I flew out of Jamaica to Miami. I met my mom in Miami at the airport, and we hopped on an immediate flight to Las Vegas, Nevada. I spent the night in Las Vegas. Now, that was the only time I ever walked out the front door and debated with myself, should I take off from here or not?
Yeah.
Because I knew I was going from one program to another.
Yeah.
But I didn't, and we got to CrossCreek the following day. I remember walking in the front doors, and there's a big water fountain, like a big fountain. And I didn't know what to fucking think at that point, man. I was like, this is crazy shit. But I was like, this looks way better than Jamaica, so I may as well give it a try.
Yeah.
But the problem was, coming from Jamaica, like, you don't get up at the same time, you don't eat at the same times. It's not as brutal as Jamaica. So, like, they'd say wake up time, and I'd be already up and dressed and, like, brush my teeth, wash my face at the fucking door. And the other kids are still, like, sitting up in their bunk, like, the fuck is wrong with this dude? Yeah. And I'm like, why ain't nobody else awake? Like, y'all are still laying there. Like, where I just came from, if you had done that, dude, they would yank you out of your bed, drag you down the hallway, and put you in OP. Flat out. So it was a shell shock for me.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know, like, all right, do I just stay in my bunk? Like, what, like, and then I'm standing there at the, like, all right, so this is how bad it was. So in Jamaica, you can't cross a doorway without getting permission. In CrossCreek, you had free range pretty much. So everyone else is walking past me through these doors, and I'm watching the kids like, what are you all doing? And they're like, you go do your laundry and stuff. I'm like, I can't cross through the door without getting permission. I'm like, what level are you guys? They're like 2, and I'm like, why the fuck can't I do it? They're like, you can. I'm like, oh, no shit. So I was like, all right. So I just kind of wandered through, like, I didn't know how to act, man, going from one place to the next.
Yeah.
And then when I got home, it was really bad because I stood at my bedroom door for about 15, 20 minutes thinking I had to ask one of my parents to get permission to cross through a door. I was like, yeah, that fucking sucks.
Yeah, for sure. Do you think, like, what parts of the program do you think stuck with you the most, like, brainwashing wise? Well, not. Yeah, like, what parts of the program? Not that you were brainwashed, because I know that you said that you like kind of pushed against that. But what I'm asking is, what things from the program do you think stuck with you? Like, you just made one example, like that asking to cross the threshold. What other little things or big things have you noticed now that you've been out?
I mean, like, it was normal common sense things that I did. I did before, but didn't, like saying, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, or sir. Just table manners. I mean, like, nothing. I didn't really take anything else away from that. More because I didn't want to.
Yeah.
Because I don't. People all the time are like, oh, well, based on results or this or that, or like, and I can't. I'm sorry, man. I can't do it. To me, that shit's full of itself. Like, half the shit they taught in the seminars or like, they're like, oh, you got to take accountability. And I'm like, listen, motherfucker, there's accidents. Accidents do happen. As much as y'all want to say they don't, they do. I mean, like, shit, okay. The other day, I have a rat rod. My rat rod was parked in the front parking lot up here. I wasn't in the car. I was over here. My car got hit by another car in the parking lot. They were doing 90 racing down this road right here. Wiped out and totaled my car. And then my insurance is like, oh, we're going to have to raise your rate. I'm like, I wasn't even in my freaking car. You're not going to raise my rate because my car was sitting in a parking lot and got totaled. You're nuts. They're like, oh, it was your responsibility to make sure it was. I'm like, it was parked in a parking lot, dude. Like, I told the aide, I'm like, you're not getting what I'm saying. No one was in the car. It got totaled by someone else that had no insurance. Like, dude, I'm not taking responsibility for the fact that it was parked in a parking spot. I have the pictures of it. Like, someone needs to fix my car. They told me I have to sue the person that didn't have insurance now.
Wow.
Yeah, oh yeah. That shit sucked. And it's still messed up right now.
How after you got out of the program, you said that they wanted you to live a life contract. You fell apart. What happened? That you said you went to prison or whatever. So what happened there, if you don't mind?
With prison or with the home contract stuff?
Like what happened right after you got out? What happened with the life contract, and then how did it fall apart eventually? And then what led to prison? Like.
So the home so kind of like I was saying, like I just kind of did shit and went with stuff so that I could go home.
Yeah.
That is kind of one of those things that I was just kind of like, all right, yeah, let me just half-ass this shit so that I can get the fuck out of here. Yeah. So they were like, oh well, we need you to do this and have a curfew and just a bunch. I'd have to like get it and hopefully maybe I can find it and get a picture and post it in the comments. But it was just a whole bunch of bullshit that I just agreed to so that I could get the fuck out of the program, really. But I also knew I was so close to turning 18 that you couldn't send me back if you tried, because the second you said program and hop on a plane, you know I'm gone. I'm not going to sit here for that shit. Yeah. And they knew that. They knew I wasn't going to go back. They knew at all costs I was getting home. And if they didn't, they're fools. So after that, my parents kicked me out, like I said, when I turned 18, like that day. So I was sleeping at the beach. And I did that for months. I slept at a homeless shelter. I slept on the beach, slept at friends' houses. And I did that for about 2 years, honestly. So I was about 20, hooked up with this girl that was on a magazine crew. They go door to door selling magazines. Ended up in Baltimore and had my first son. Meanwhile, a friend of mine had pawned some stuff that I didn't realize was stolen, and I was the one that signed the papers for it. So I got charged with burglary in the first degree because I wouldn't tell on said person. And to this day, I won't say who it was. But I got charged with the first degree burglary and took the charge. And they gave me 15 years, all suspended, but all but 3. And then they gave me 5 years probation on top of that. Currently I'm off of everything. I'm done with my prison time. I'm not on parole or probation. I completed everything, passed all my drug tests, never got a new charge. I got my license back. I work frequently. I have 3 of my kids with me today. Like, I'm finally doing good, doing better than I would have thought, to be honest with you. I just bought this RV here for $13,000 cash. I got my bikes and my cars. I'm finally actually doing well. I'm actually part of Bikers Against Bullies, BABUSA. I'm actually doing pretty well, not bad.
Okay. I was also going to add this segment to the ending. It's going to be one of the ending questions. And it's going to be, I'm going to have people make like 3 goals for themselves for like when we do a part 2. And then when I check back in with them, see how they're doing towards those goals. So like, if you were to say like right now, if you were going to make like 3 goals for like your life in general, like what would you say?
That is a good question. We talking like years ahead, or we talking like just recent new goals? Or
Let's say like within the next year.
in the next year.
Or it can be longer term, and you know, I can just check up on like how you're doing next time we talk.
So goals are not my good suit here, because of the fact that I do live day by day.
Yeah.
More due to my medical problems than I do anything else.
Well, you did say that you had that thing, the roof thing fell on your head, so maybe one of them could be you resolved the thing in court, or.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've done as much as I just actually got off the phone with my lawyer before I called you.
Okay.
As far as that goes, I'm pretty much done with the lawsuit. We're just waiting. Apparently, one of the entities doesn't want to pay out or admit guilt. So they're going to take it to court. So we have court set. But the fact that the accident is all on video and I am not at fault is, I mean, they're kind of, I don't know why they're not just going to admit it and move on.
Yeah.
For anyone that doesn't know, and it is on my Facebook, I was asleep on the couch and the ceiling in the house we were renting collapsed and broke my neck.
Wow.
And
while you were sleeping?
I was asleep. Yeah.
Oh my God, bro.
And ripped my shoulder out, so I had to have shoulder surgery, reconstructing my shoulder. I had surgery on my spinal cord and my neck, slip disc, a herniated disc, and a compressed spine. So I'm actually we sued the homeowner and the rental property, and the homeowner sent us a check for $300,000. But what people don't understand is $300,000 won't actually even cover my surgery.
Yeah.
The surgeries alone were almost $400,000 for everything done, which is insane. If you think I should have become a doctor, but I mean, I would put that in one of my goals, but it's kind of a lawyer court thing, and they tend to drag stuff out excessively. And that's really the only. Honestly, I'm only waiting on the court date so I can buy a house.
Yeah. Well, maybe buying a house. Maybe like finding a house or buying a house.
I've talked to a broker, a realty broker, and we have a house in mind, and we have a motivated seller. Really beautiful house, nice property. Not where I want to live per se, but the house and the land are more intriguing to me than the fact of where I want to specifically live. And I'd rather deal with where I live than deal with a small property and house.
Yeah.
The house I'm looking at is like a five bedroom, 3 bathroom on 20 acres. With like a 6-car garage, beautiful house. And I'd rather just deal with the fact that it's not in a state I want to live in. But I'd rather live in a state I don't want to live in with a house that size than buy a house here that's 4 bedroom, 2 bathroom for $650,000. It's really not worth it to me. And the house I'm looking at, the big house on the 20 acres, is only $240,000.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm saving, a couple $100,000 there, man. I'd much rather save the couple $100,000 and put it into my kids' college funds than spend it on a smaller house with no backyard.
Yeah.
I mean, go figure.
For sure. Sure.
But so I mean, my goal is to move out of, we're just kind of traveling at the moment. We go from here to there and go do stuff, and I do stuff for Bikers Against Bullies. So we just kind of roam around at the moment. So buying a house and settling down and stuff like that. I guess one of the goals would be to get my other daughter here.
Okay.
That would be a goal I can do within a year. She'd probably come on and say hi. She'll be 18 next month, actually.
Oh, that's cool. Awesome.
Is it right?
Yeah.
Let's see, a goal. That's a good goal.
I mean, you don't have to have you could just have like 1 or 2. I mean, you don't have to have any. I'm just trying to throw a few little extra things into the podcast. I've been thinking about how I can more tailor the podcast to helping people and talking about mental health, talking about goals and helping people.
You know what? One of my big goals is to still have my bikes.
Yes. Beautiful bikes, man. Beautiful bikes.
Thank you.
What brand are they? What company?
Okay, so no offense to Harley. I love Harley, but I'm not a Harley person. They look like Harleys, but they're not. The big one right here, this one, is a Kawasaki Nomad 1500. This black one over here is actually a Honda Shadow 1100.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
Do you?
I just sold 2.
What's your opinion of Indian motorcycles?
They're expensive. They're great bikes, nice bikes, beautiful bikes. A little too high on the price. That's all.
Okay. Is there a reason they're so expensive?
The name.
The name? Okay.
The name.
That's
yeah. I mean, they make a beautiful bike. Their bikes are very comfortable, really nice, great bikes. I would not own one just due to price. Really.
Yeah. For sure. So you moving your daughter up there. You're still having your bikes, and those are some good goals.
Only other thing I could think of is to get this thing finished. My rat rod.
Well,
It's actually it's considered an urban rat. It's a 1994 Toyota Camry LE turned into a rat rod.
And for people that don't know, what is a rat rod?
Okay, so a rat rod is usually, this is why it's called an urban rat, because it's newer. And a rat rod is usually a frame-built car with exposed motor and parts that's kind of just put together with spare parts that looks kind of trashy. And it fits in looks like a piece of trash. I get those junk car stickers on it all day long, but it outruns pretty much anything out here.
So it's like actually, a dune buggy? Is it like a dune buggy? Like a custom built dune?
Yes and no. It's the entire car is a 1994 Toyota Camry, but I took off all the fenders in the front. It was mint condition, brand new, AC runs, everything works in it fine. It's got big speakers, it's got two 12-inch NVX audio, it's got big amps. But I'm trying to turbocharge it, so I'm going to put a turbo with a hood dump, put wider tires, and lower it a little bit.
Nice. Oh, like next time.
Here, can I flip the camera on this thing?
Yeah, you can flip it. You want to?
Let's see, how do you do that? I don't know if it'll let me.
It might not. You could always flip the phone forward. Oh, okay. Okay, so it's like it's like a car that's stripped down so it goes faster. Is that what I'm seeing? It's like
kind of. It's just stripped down, like the headlights are skulls.
Oh, dope.
It's awesome. It's got the voltmeters.
Nice.
It's got, like I said, big amps. Set of rain guards I put on street signs and stuff.
Awesome, dude.
It's got train horns right on the trunk.
That's awesome. Do the horns work from back there?
They do, yeah. Hold on.
That's fucking awesome.
Oh, the car's not open. If it was unlocked, I'd honk the horns, but they're really loud.
Yeah.
Like I actually have a bunch of SUVs here. I have like 3 SUVs, a boat, golf carts, just crap.
All sorts of fun stuff.
Always.
For sure. Well, I do have a question for you. So we had the 3 goals. You wanted to. We'll see where you're at on the rat car by the next time. Try and hopefully have your daughter up here, and then still have your bikes. Sound good?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So knowing what you know now about the programs, is it your belief that these places should or even could be regulated at this point? I always mix that up. Or do you believe that they should all just be shut down?
That's a tough one. Me personally, I think they should all be shut down.
Okay.
I think all of them should be closed. Even with regulations, I don't see it working for the better. Because there's always going to be that CO that wants to do something stupid. There's always going to be those problems. There's always going to be manipulation and issues. And I think parents should grow up a little bit and realize maybe your kid isn't the problem. Maybe your parenting skills are. My parents were good. They tried. They could have done better. They could have tried a lot harder. All I asked for was to be treated like a normal person, man. I mean, no one sat me down and talked to me about stuff. Maybe if, like I do with my children, I sit them down and listen. What you did wasn't right or proper, or, you shouldn't have done that. Maybe you should try something a little different next time. Or, I don't know. I don't think the programs are the problem, but I think there are other problems that they should handle differently before trying to send a kid to a school that's going to make shit worse.
Yeah, exactly. Do you have a relationship with your parents to this day, or?
Not really. I talk to my parents, but not like a normal person would talk to their parents. So when this whole thing happened and the ceiling collapsed and broke my neck, my parents told me to take the kids and sleep in my SUV. They told me that they didn't have room in their 4-bedroom house, although it's just my parents. So, no, not really. Like, we talk a little bit, but not well, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Not that I hold the grudge, but they've constantly done shit, even after the program, like kicking me out when I was 18, telling me to sleep in the car with my children, doing, me calling my parents because my rear differential exploded in the middle of the highway, and I just needed someone to come pick up my kids, and they said they couldn't do it, that their TV show was coming on. Shit like that I don't respect that shit. I think it's a bit off the wall. I figure and not to mention I'm adopted.
So am I, at first.
So,
when were you adopted?
At birth.
Same here. Same here.
So I figured if you're going to adopt a child, that you should take responsibility for that child, at least, at minimum.
No matter
yeah,
no
I'm
matter
an
what,
adult.
in my opinion. No matter what, in my opinion. No matter how hard it gets.
Like I get, I'm an adult, but even adults get into hairy situations and need help sometimes, So at this point, honestly, I kind of treat it more like I don't have parents. If that makes, like, I still call them and say hi, and I try to be pleasant.
Yeah.
But in any other situation, I don't call them for help. I don't talk to them when it's not necessary.
Yeah.
More because they didn't with me.
For sure. I completely get that.
Not that I like it or agree with it, but the fact is that they, to this day, say that they made the right decision.
Exactly. If you could go back in a time machine and not go through the things that you went through, like going to boarding school, and you kind of already went over this, but would you go through the time machine and not go through those things, or would you still go through them?
That's tough. That's a tough one. I'm happy with where I am today. Now, but if it could have all been avoided, just to see how life maybe would have turned out otherwise, I don't know.
Okay.
Good question. I mean, I know I wouldn't be where I am now had shit been different.
Yeah.
But I don't know where I would have been if shit was different.
Yeah.
Maybe I would have gotten into drugs and been worse. Maybe not, and I'd be way better. Maybe I would have been hit by a car, done something stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not. I mean, it can go both ways. So I'm kind of happy where I am now.
Okay.
Maybe not a few months ago, maybe not a few years ago. Definitely not while I was in prison. I'd have been like, I'd have done anything to change this. But where I am today and where I could be today are very questionable. So I'm okay where I'm at. I'm not happy the way things went, but they happened. They're in my past. I don't have the best life. I don't have money. I don't have a lot to show for it. I mean, I don't know. I guess I have a lot to show for it, but I don't, I'm not, I don't live comfortably. I live day to day. I live day by day.
Yeah.
Like my paychecks all go out to bills, so I have nothing at the end of the day, but I understand it could be worse.
Yeah.
You know,
For sure, for sure.
I could be homeless still. I could have no car. I could,
Yeah.
I mean, I could not have my children. I could not have a job. I mean, so I wonder what could have happened, but at the same time, what could have happened could have been for the better or for the worse.
Yep. And you're down to do a part 2, like in a while, aren't you? Are you down for that?
Yeah. Sorry about last time. We were supposed to do the interview before, and I was looking for my laptop, which I still have not found. I went to storage, looked everywhere in storage for the entire weekend. Can't find it here, so I had to use my phone. Hopefully, it's not breaking up too bad. Luckily, I get fairly good service.
Yeah. It's pretty good, man. Pretty good.
Okay.
And no problem, man. Life happens, man. I'm not gonna get mad at people for missing. Oh yeah, fuck you, dude, for missing. No, I'm not gonna do. You know what I mean? It's life happens, man.
I apologize for that. Like I was. Yeah. Oh yeah. Like I said, living day to day isn't the best, but that's how it's how I got to do it.
For sure. For sure.
I will. Yeah. So if you wanted to do a follow up, that'd be fine. Yeah.
Okay, for sure. If nothing else, just check and see where you're at. You know what I mean? I've been talking to people about doing a part 2, maybe even part 3, at least a part 2 to check in where people are at. But if I were to do a part 3, it would be like a part 2 to a continuation of our discussion from before, maybe questions they had forgotten, and then a part 3 to follow up and see just where they are, how they're doing in life, and just in general.
I mean, I'd even be willing to do another one if people have questions per se as to anything that I've said. If they want answers to stuff that I've talked about or had commented on that they just didn't understand or want clarity on, I don't mind answering people's questions. If people want to contact me, I have no problem with you giving them my information.
Okay.
I mean, if there are any other questions that other people have, by all means, please ask. I have no problem answering questions of any sort. Doesn't bother me.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, that's the roundabout way of doing it.
For sure, for sure. Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story, man. It's been awesome, and I'll check in sometime in the future before too long.
Absolutely.
Make sure see how you're doing and whatnot. Make sure you're still okay. We're in this together. We're in this together, everybody, and everybody's short story does deserve to be heard. If you want to come on the podcast and do an interview with me, just email me at straightoutofbspodcast@gmail.com or message me on social media and we'll get something scheduled. Once again, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and till next time. Peace, brother.